Awesome, Buzzy. Thanks for joining us for the call. We've got Griffin, Colapinto, D.Silva, and J.Baker. All these guys were knocked out in the round of 32 at Pipeline, starting with Griffin, Colapinto, BL. Expectations on this young surfer out here at Sunset Beach. Getting past surfers like Gabriel Medina and Adriano de Souza, that huge result. Meanwhile, from Merriweather, J.Baker starts off with a huge top turn carve. Baker digs into another meat hook. Out in front, he'll get a little bit...
loss of points or loss of opportunity there. David surfed the wave beautifully for his opening ride, and as did J.Baker on this one, Buzz. He just looks so authoritative and powerful.
How long of a board is he riding? He's just tearing it apart.
It definitely looks like it's got a little more length.
Just lost some open face, but two big committed maneuvers to start. As we see D.Silva from Sao Paulo signing with Slater Designs last season. Board's looking lively as he will kick out into the channel. And interesting to note, with all the caddies, they've got a big responsibility with that raging current sending them in the impact zone. If you do interfere with somebody's ride, the surfer you're caddying for might carry an interference. That's a big task for the guys that are on watch with the backup board.
Yeah, for sure. You get sucked over where you think it's the channel, and then these sets swing wide and you're suddenly not in the channel.
As that shot just showed us there beautifully.
Silva trying to find some clear water, so I'm sure those caddies are going to be on their toes for the rest of the heat. Anything solid out of this one that you liked, BL?
Well, both rides were incredible. David looks strong. Look how close.
As close as it gets, really.
As close as it gets. And you've just got to constantly be alert, constantly be repositioning yourself and making sure that you don't get in the competitor's way.
We always know how demanding Sunset Beach can be. But Buzzy, it seemed like a place where people wanted to go that love big waves, where you're getting bigger surf more often than not. Before we get there, we'll watch Jackson again. Guessing his way down to a big section. Great connection there. The Australian drives through that big foam climb hack. And ends up losing his footing on the end, but total attack mode right now from Jackson, Buzzy.
But you're not getting the biggest waves out there. You're trying to find the ones that stand up and have the most wall. I feel like that, things have progressed and they change as we watch this replay throughout the years. And I'm sure Mark Richards will be sitting back there in Merriweather watching the attack of J.Baker and being very proud. But, again, you can catch the biggest wave, but if it doesn't have walls, so there's this combination of the things that the judges want to see that you're looking for.
When you caught the really big ones, there wasn't much opportunity to do much stuff. The big peaks, you get a big drop and kind of at reform. So it's like I'd be out there like hunting down the big ones, and then I remember MR would get the medium ones and take it apart and get a big score. And it's like, I'm in my mindset was like, I got to find the biggest one. So you out the back and hunt the big ones, but that ends up not being the best for the scores, and it's pretty much still how it is.
And I feel that headspace and that balance is still going on today, where you will be rewarded for hitting the biggest section you can find, being on a really big wave. However, you have to find that right size balance.
You're obviously not going to get scores on little ones, but you need size, but you need wall at the same time. And here's Griffin's replay that we kind of talked over a little bit in real time. Let's see what he does here. Takes his time, really patient. That board's looking smaller, and you can see there's almost like a nursing and a quivering of the rail in that board when he does his turns, where J.Baker with that extra length is able to just drive into things that looks more authoritative.
What would be traditionally known as that classic sunset board for a day like today? We'll get there in a moment with Colapinto.
Obviously in the third priority, so figuring that he may as well try something rather than just sit and wait.
Back in our day, it's like you rode big boards on big waves, and then when we started towing, we started realizing you could get away with a small board on a big wave, and it performed well. I mean, originally we were towing on 9.6 guns that could hardly turn, and then got down to like 6.0.
Insult to the injury.
J.Baker has been surfing a stellar heat in the first half. Still leads. And kind of left fishing towards the end of that ride. So many different angles, and this swell still on the rise. Incredibly challenging at the moment. Here comes Silva. He's finished 14th in the world last season.
Well, the trade winds have kicked up too, so that adds a whole nother element to the takeoff out here. You just saw with Griffin. It's like all of a sudden a wave that you could have dropped into earlier, that wind holds you up just at that opportune moment where you could start going down, and you don't start going down and you end up going over.
And I would see that in a magazine or a surf movie and just think to myself, I want to hang in that front yard one day with those guys, man. And it was more about the culture, as we see J.Baker up and riding here and just using that extra rail to great advantage.
Riding the 6/8s, and they're working well.
He's capable of, because the board's kind of holding him back that little bit. That's how it appears to me.
And also to Jackson's wave here, Buzzy.
See, Jackson looks like he fits in. That board looks really suited. It doesn't look long. It doesn't look too short. He's not nursing it. He's powering it around.
And Griffin Colapinto needs to make a move now. A Triple Crown champ, multiple-time finalist at Sunset. He's comfy out here in all types of conditions. Flowing through that lip line there. One of the best styles on tour. He'll eject on the finish. And still looking for more in this heat with 7:20 to go, Buzzy. Change shape the next time you have an opportunity to attack it again. What'd you see here, BL?
I see him nursing that rail like it's a little 6-1, and he can't really give it as much as he wants to give it. That's what I see. It's very controlled. Here, when it's at a horizontal line, it doesn't need a full change of direction. You can manage yourself and the board through that. But you could just see that he had to get down really low, hold the rail, and it's kind of shaking and quivering underneath his feet.
It was a far cry from the Dream Tour, so you had to be versatile.
Thanks for paving the way for guys like Colapinto. Wrapping cutback to start for Griff. Reaching for the rooftop float. He is just wrestling with that board. Chip in, rolling, but at Sunset, I mean, what does that feel like when you got the white water on your back and you're trying to hang on to your line, Buzzy?
You know, it's tricky because sometimes you think it's just a little whitewater just going to just kiss you and push you in, and sometimes it just mops you. So it's a tricky one to read. But a lot of times you can just get the edge of that whitewater, you get in easy, get a nice drop, and then it reforms, and all the action's really across that inside bowl.
Ends up going down, so now it's Silva behind him. Silva's dropped to third. Needs a 4.4 here to take Griffin's spot.
Looks like it's settled down a little bit. It's not as big as it was earlier. Now they're getting performance, smaller waves, but higher performance.
Silva's so spring-loaded. I think when I first saw him surf, it was in one-foot surf at Manly. He did double alley-oops on the way to a big final.
Especially on the backhand, as we see here. He gets down low, drives off the bottom. Nice carve out of the top. One of the best backhands on tour. Unfortunate little catch there, but he was so lucky to keep the nose out and complete that one. You know, he's got that, look at that, 0.63, so we can say goodbye to that with that one. It's going to give him a much better two-wave total and give us a pretty good idea of where things sit with 3.5 minutes on the clock.
We're seeing a lot of these chip-ins to the wave.
I had no caddy.
No caddies, no. It was all on your own.
Yeah.
No need, brah.
30 seconds. And getting the roll in again is Griffin. Needs a 5.24 on this wave. Nice paced, fading turn. Now he's got the lip. Clean frontside carve. Griffin does that so well. Bit of chatter on the face, but he ironed that out well. Does he have enough here to get a 5.24?
I think it's a little bit low myself. I think a little bit under, but it's going to be right there.
Gets the cut back, and that was nursed, just kind of waiting for the wave to stand up. Nice, beautiful, clean carve, Buzzy.
Yeah, that was a nice scoring maneuver. That one's not great. I think it's going to be a little low myself.
Yeah, I feel like you're...
The easy comparison was Silva's last at a 5.3. Here's J.Baker just sealing this one. Big re-entry off the roof, and he goes down hard. Baker definitely not holding back here in the opening round. And now we'll stand by to see how close Griffin will get to that number. Standing by for the last score to come through for Griffin. Did he do enough to take D.Silva down to third? The elimination round is looking pretty heavy already.
I think it's going to be a little bit under, but you never know.
The elimination round already features Owen Wright. We've got Kelly Slater, a wild card named Billy Kemper. It's going to be a wild round, and you definitely don't want to be there. Numbers now in, and Buzzy is doing an incredible job judging in front of the booth here. You threw a 4.5, that would have been in there. Dropped the high and the low. A 4.3 for Griff, not enough. He will be surfing in the ER later on today. Silva and J.Baker we'll be moving on. Buzzy, thanks so much for your time today. That was really fun hanging out with you.